is the American legal system was having problems. So back in 2010-ish, we passed a bill that said some constitutionalist, protesters were being labeled as terrorists. Well, I said, we wonder why. Well, because a bunch of people were playing brainwashing games and doing screwed up stuff to citizens, and citizens then would do screwed up stuff to other citizens, and then they go, now sue for money. So they come over from Nassau and say, now sue for money. It's America, the American way, now sue. See? So then we say, not so. See? Not so. So we have a movie about that. Not so cow. Not so cow. You see? What a Chinese language. Not so cow. See? So, look at that and we go, well, you bastards. You see? Not so cow. So, well, we say, Kyle. See? Kyle, the vet. They got him drunk, walking around and stumbling over himself. You say, well, not so Kyle. So we drove up north and we say, well, I guess he must be too far away for those Cubans to play their games. And then we go, well, back in history we had the Cuban Missile Crisis. So I see a store open up on the corner down there in Titusville. It's Dr. Dan's Motorcycles. So I go in there, I eat a sandwich, and I says, well, you should have called that the Cuban Missile Crisis. And the guy go, what are you talking about? I says, well, it's here on the corner. They say you should call it the Cuban Missile Crisis. Teach people a little bit about history. We go, wow. I see you, Bane. Bane from Batman, drugging people and brainwashing them. Bane. See you, Bane? Cuban. Batman story. Batman, Dark Knight. Night's coming up out of the darkness to help people do good. Wasn't Cuban. See? Cuban. Wasn't Cuban. See, we go ahead. We say, well, wait a minute. Why did some of those Cubans come over to America? Well, you see, the Cuban government had these problems with education and food, and they say they started a regime to try to keep some of that in. Some of them, refugees, got on rafts and floated over to the U.S. to do Cuban Missile Crisis. You see, history, not hate. Sometime people need to communicate and find out what is going on. When I say Einstein, Mr. Kirk filed with the court and said sometimes you have to postulate about the past to get an inference about what is going on. See, we say post, you late. Because the papers couldn't keep up. All these stories about getting cats out of trees and stuff. Mr. Kirk called a news agency and they say it's a news alternative. Alternative because, well, it's better than printing the real news until the real news can get more positive. So we say, see you late. See you late. And we're like, well, it's about time somebody started a really good party. And everybody, used to go to McDonald's and say, do you believe in magic? And then they go and they say, well, I'm loving it. So now we say, well, if you're loving it, then why is things so messed up? And we go, well, the education system, they play on the computers and the apps. We had Voodoo card for games, Voodoo card. And then we got rid of the Voodoo card and made ATI because the water looks so real, just like magic. And we say, American Technical Institute, ATI graphics. So you have the ATI card for the games, and they see the stuff on computers, and then they play the games, they get the education, and then all around the world, they see things that they see in the real world, and they go, wow, a real world application to go with the applications. That is the American institution of education. So that's the dream. And they say, well, if you build it, they will come and they will explore it. And I go, wow, what an education system. Nowhere else in the world. And I go, well, we have these other education systems. Well, how do we understand all the places in the world and all those other places? They go, well, did you visit America? And they come over here, they do some tourism, and they go, wow, I can't believe that. It was amazing. Then they go back to their country, and they say, wow, you wouldn't believe what America's doing. And then they do some stuff like America in their country, and maybe the country next to them, they do something. And then you have a world tourism, where everybody say, well, we go to America, we learn about all these countries, and then we go visit this country and learn about these countries. And then we take an adventure in this country, and then we go to this other country and do this. You have a world tourism system, and they go, wow, that's better than golf. And he says, yeah. And then we put a golf course in everywhere in the world. A big one. We say, hey, there's a big golf course here, big golf course here. And I go, look at the American golfers. He said, what do you mean, American golfers? Well, not the golfers from the Gulf War, the golfers. You go, you mean, where do you want to tee off at today? I goes, I don't know, maybe this country or this country. And he goes, well, you go over there and don't understand all the mixtures. He goes, well, did you take a tour of the U.S.? And he goes, well, the U.S.? He says, no, America, man. It's amazing.